Imagine a courtroom where one man stands alone against an entire system. The prosecution has a team of lawyers, polished arguments, and the backing of the state. The defense? Just one man, an outsider, underestimated by everyone in the room. That man is Crockett, a defense attorney known for breaking rules, defying expectations, and somehow turning hopeless cases into legends. And across the aisle, Barrett, the golden boy of prosecution, brilliant, ruthless, the kind of lawyer who never loses. This clash wasn't just about a verdict. It became a battle of wits, pride, and raw strategy that shook the courtroom to its core. Crockett didn't come from privilege. He built his reputation the hard way, dragging cases from the gutter, defending clients no one else would touch. His methods were unconventional: charm, grit, and a willingness to exploit the smallest cracks in the prosecution's case. Barrett, on the other hand, was the system's poster child. Ivy League education, prosecutor of the year. Groomed for politics, known for his flawless record and relentless precision. When these two names appeared on the same case file, everyone knew sparks would fly. For Barrett, it was another win to pad his record. For Crockett, it was personal, a chance to prove that one man with nothing could take on a machine built to crush him. The case itself was explosive. Crockett's client, a small-town mechanic, was accused of orchestrating a string of robberies. On paper, the evidence was damning. Fingerprints, eyewitnesses, financial records pointing straight at him. Barrett walked into court smiling. He had a narrative ready. The accused was guilty, greedy, and sloppy. His evidence was lined up like dominoes. But Crockett saw something different. Tiny inconsistencies. Witness statements that didn't quite match. A timeline that had gaps nobody bothered to question. Where Barrett relied on brute force, Crockett relied on doubt. And in court, doubt can be deadly. Barrett opened like a master conductor. His voice carried authority. He painted the defendant as a criminal mastermind who thought he was smarter than the law. The jury hung on his every word. Crockett's turn came. He didn't stride to the podium, he strolled. Calm, casual, almost dismissive. He didn't even mention the evidence at first. Instead, he talked about stories, about how easy it is to believe a neatly packaged tale when the truth is messy. He looked jurors in the eye and asked, "Would you bet a man's life on a story with holes?" The room shifted. Barrett had set the stage with certainty. Crockett had cracked it with doubt. In the first days of testimony, Barrett dominated. He paraded experts, detectives, witnesses. Each seemed to confirm the defendant's guilt. Jurors nodded. Reporters scribbled notes. Slam dunk. Crockett barely objected. He sat quietly, taking notes, almost inviting Barrett to overplay his hand. Observers whispered, maybe Crockett was in over his head, but Crockett was waiting. He knew Barrett's confidence was his weakness. When cross-examinations began, the mood changed. Crockett was surgical. One witness said he saw the defendant near the crime scene at midnight. Crockett gently pulled apart the timeline, showing the man was 200 miles away at the time. Another swore fingerprints were clear. Crockett asked about lab handling, hinting at contamination. Piece by piece, Barrett's airtight case sprung leaks. Not enough to sink it outright, but enough to plant questions in the jury's minds. Barrett scoffed. To him, Crockett was nitpicking, wasting time. But the jury, they were listening. By mid-trial, the courtroom was a chessboard. Barrett moved with power, but Crockett countered with finesse. Barrett leaned on evidence. Crockett leaned on people. He told stories, drew metaphors, connected with jurors like an old friend explaining over coffee. The contrast was stark. Barrett was cold precision. Crockett was messy humanity. And jurors don't convict on coldness alone. They convict or acquit on belief. The turning point came during a key witness testimony. Barrett's star witness, a detective, laid out the timeline perfectly. Every fact lined up. Barrett leaned back satisfied. Crockett stood slowly, almost lazily, and asked just 3 questions. Wasn't the detective working 14-hour shifts at the time? Did he remember every detail from every case? Could he swear under oath that no detail slipped through the cracks? The detective hesitated, stumbled. A pause that felt like thunder. Crockett didn't press further. He just nodded, turned, and said, "No further questions." The seed of doubt had been planted so deep, Barrett couldn't pull it out. Barrett grew frustrated. His once smooth case began to feel fragile. He objected more often, raised his voice, tried to pin Crockett as manipulative. But the harder he pushed, the calmer Crockett became. He leaned back, hands folded, letting Barrett look like the aggressor. Jurors noticed tone as much as evidence, and Barrett's tone was cracking. Barrett went first. His summation was fiery, passionate. He replayed every piece of evidence, insisting the jury had a duty to convict. His words were strong, but his delivery betrayed a hint of desperation. Then came Crockett. He didn't raise his voice. He spoke softly, slowly. He reminded the jury of every hole, every hesitation, every crack in the story. He didn't argue his client was innocent. He argued the prosecution hadn't proven guilt, and then he asked the only question that mattered. If you have even the smallest doubt, can you take away this man's freedom? The courtroom went silent. Hours later, the jury returned. Barrett's jaw was set. Crockett looked almost bored. Not guilty. Gasps filled the room. Barrett froze. Crockett smiled faintly, patted his client's shoulder, and walked out without a word. The machine had been beaten by one man who refused to play by its rules. Barrett's reputation survived, but the loss haunted him. Reporters whispered, maybe he wasn't unbeatable after all. His image of invincibility cracked. Crockett, his legend grew. He became the folk hero of defense attorneys. Proof that charisma, timing, and doubt could topple giants. The case wasn't just about one verdict. It was about the clash of 2 philosophies. Barrett's precision and authority versus Crockett's chaos and humanity. And in this battle, humanity won. One courtroom, 2 men, one verdict that changed everything. Crockett didn't win because he had more evidence. He won because he understood people. He won because he knew that doubt is more powerful than certainty when freedom is on the line. And that is how one man outplayed the system.